Ladies and gentlemen, I can already tell this is not going to be a popular video, but I just can't bring myself to play Last Epoch, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. It's time for a little story, ladies and gentlemen. This morning I woke up and I had a day off, so I thought, let's do a stream. Let's stream Last Epoch. Let's play some Last Epoch. Let's recreate a beginner necromancer fire minion build that was a big success back in the day in terms of views. Also, the build itself did really well, and it is like free views basically, right? It's free clicks at this point. Everybody is so hyped for Last Epoch, and I would just be an idiot if I wouldn't leverage that fact, right? If I wouldn't also make a few videos. However, if you've looked at my channel recently, what videos have I made? A video of me enjoying Diablo 4. I mean, that's guaranteed bunch of dislikes. A video of a JRPG review that released half a year ago. And what was the latest video that I made about Last Epoch? It was basically me shitting on trade. That's what happened. And afterwards I haven't made a single video up until now. That's just the reality of it, which is a little bit unfortunate. But it is still my reality and it is still my channel. And I know this video is gonna get a bunch of another dislikes, because I mean, God forbid you say something bad about the game, right? But hear me out. So, this morning, woke up, I thought, hey, I'm just gonna start a stream. And everything went pretty well. I had a great time. I created my necromancer, built a loot filter, went through the campaign, and I noticed a few of the reworked zones, because I haven't played in a while. Really nice environments, great introduction, I think, into the game. Was still surprised by sort of the number of smaller and bigger bugs, and for some reason the loading times are still not fixed 12 days before launch. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but you know, alright, I mean, it's fine, I guess. And then I reached the Monolith of Fate, and I just got discouraged basically instantly. Like, up until that point, it was fine. I was just working towards the Monolith of Fate, and I thought, alright, I'll just do it, just see if my old Necromancer build, which I was trying out, still works. And then if it works, I can make an easy build guide, right? Easy 10,000, 20,000 views, maybe even more at this point. But I'm standing there at the end of time. Like, I just can't bring myself to playing another hour of this endgame. Maybe at launch I can, but right now I'm looking at it, I'm looking at all these timelines, and I just can't. I just can't play. And sort of this realization hits me once again, is that this endgame has some serious issues, but almost nobody notices it. And the reason why is that almost nobody has played as much as I have. So for reference, I have played 1800 hours of the game, a little more, and let's be generous, let's say 1500 hours of those are in the end game. So you play Monolith of Fate, which in itself is not a bad end game. It's pretty sustainable, but it definitely has an expiry date. And that expiry date is like 150, 200 hours. And then you've seen it. And the main reason for that is because there is basically no randomization at all. Yeah, you now spawn in a random spot on the map, but yeah, I'm sorry, I know the entire map. I still know where I am. The map layout is completely static, so there's no variation whatsoever in terms of map layout. The boss spawn points, the chest spawn points, the rogue mage spawn points, always at the same places. So no real surprises there, and also if you miss them, yeah, no real harm done, right? They're not that good. The problem here is that I just know exactly what is going to happen, and it's just basically draining all the life out of me. I just can't. I just can't play the game anymore. I think it is way too repetitive, way too boring, and there's like hardly any incentive to play this endgame for me. You don't have to agree, right? And that's fine. The vast majority of people who are enjoying the game currently, they're below the 200-hour mark, and they're just in the honeymoon phase still. But there will be a time where you know literally every map in the endgame, because there's not that many. I can be loading into a map, I can draw the entire thing, like on this like little thing over here, right? My notes. I can literally draw you the map, the boss spawn points, the chest spawn points, the rogue mage spawn points, the whole thing. I can draw it, I know exactly what is going to happen, and it just doesn't work for me anymore. And I don't really care that we get a new subclass. I mean, yeah, sure, it's nice, but then what, right? I bring my falcon to the end of time, and then what? I end up in the same endgame. And this endgame, like you should realize this endgame hasn't really had any changes apart from like the rogue mage and the chest for 2.5 years. And it's understandable, right? I'm not saying they should have done that. They have probably made the right decisions, focusing on, well, multiplayer is debatable if that was the right decision, but at least focusing on bringing the game online. Factions remain to be seen if that was the right decision, but overall they focused on polishing the game rather than bringing more content to the end game, which is probably a good decision because the first 100-200 hours you play the game right now are infinitely better than the first 100-200 hours of playing the game 2 years ago. But after that, there hasn't really been a lot of changes. It's basically the same endgame with no real significant improvements. So if you were kind of done with the endgame 2 years ago, then you're still done with the endgame right now because there's very little new content. And that is my biggest issue. The point is that it's not the stuff in it that really matters, it is the randomization that is lacking. And the reason why I have 3-4 times the amount of hours in Path of Exile, but playing the same endgame all of the time, right? But I don't feel that way at all in Path of Exile is because everything there is randomized. But specifically the map layouts and what happens inside of it is randomized. And here that is just not the case. These maps are not designed to be randomized. These are static layout maps. They're well designed in the sense of sort of world building, right? These are beautiful maps, especially with the new graphics, and we're even getting another graphics overhaul and shadows and lighting and whatnot. Like they're great to look at, but yeah, play the same map 15 times. The sort of novelty of the graphics wears off, and now you're left with a static layout. You know exactly where to go. And I think this is a massive issue which more and more people will realize over time. But people will reach this point and likely start realizing like, hey, you know, this endgame, it looks at the start, it's very front-loaded, the endgame. Right? The first sort of couple of hours of the endgame are great, but there's nothing in the back of it. And so for a launch, that's great, because not many people are going to notice this at all. But after 200 hours, they will. And this is a game that a lot of people will play for 200 hours or more. And then I think people might start seeing my sort of point of view. That's just what I wanted to say. Don't be discouraged sort of by this video in that sense, because if you are not close to sort of the hours that I played, or at least a couple of 100 hours in, you will not have this problem. And for the first 200 hours, let's say. This game is an amazing game. You should absolutely buy it. There's so much this game has to offer. So like, don't be discouraged in that sense. I am just giving you the point of view of someone who has basically played too much. And then you start noticing sort of the cracks in the foundation of this game. And one of those cracks in the foundation is the lack of randomized content. And I think personally that is a big one. What I care most about is just endgame and content. Right? This is why PoE is the perfect game for me. But yeah, that is not all that fleshed out in Last Epoch just yet. And they have their reasons, right? This is not even blaming them or something. They have their reasons. They have their priorities, which they focused on in development. The only thing I'm saying is that in time, I think people will see my point, because they reach this point in time. And also, it is a reason why you're not really seeing any content from me on this game, which you might have expected by now. So guys, I hope you enjoyed. Enjoy your evening, enjoy your weekends. Take care. Don't forget to subscribe for more content. See you soon.